Chaf Aleph Elul, Hemshech Samech Tes, Chaf Aleph Elul, Topshin Samech Tes, H. Dalit and Hay.
Right, so we saw the Indian that the Shabbos Yesh Me'ayin Holiday Sfiras HaMalchus was the Indian from the Ha'ora Bilvad, and that the Yesh Mishabe is Tachlis HaRichuk through what we saw was the Hisnasis of Sfiras HaMalchus. So that Hisnasis was the Indian of Havdalah and withdrawal from the Mishabe, in a way that there was a Hilem Vehester HaBoirei Mi'anivro. In other words, that the Mahabe was completely Behester from the Mishabe, and that led to a union of Ha'ora Bilvad. However, we went on to say, and we said that was the union that, according to Das Rabbi Eliezer, that the Kof Hei Be'elul Nivro Ha'ilon, that he said that the union of Brias Ha'ilon is Mebchinas Koi. We saw that the word Koi is an approximation. The word Koi in Lashon Kodesh means like that, or something similar to. So we saw that in Ruchnius that was the union of Demus, Dimyain, Lavad, V'loi B'chinas Ha'ora Atzmiyas, and that's what we call the union of Demus Levad. We call that union for Ha'ora de Ha'ora. Ve'ilo union which is Gilu Ha'etzem, even though it's only a Ha'ora, but it's a Gilu of the Etzem, then that's another a much higher, higher union. It's not a union of Ha'ora de Ha'ora, and therefore Kof Hei Be'el is indicatory that the Etzem Brio of the world, the Etzem coming into being of all the elements for that matter, they were in an even of Ha'ora and Dimyain Bilvad. But in other places, that's Mavur, where we find that the Abish said that that in reference to the Brias Ha'odam, the Nas Ha'odam B'Tzalmeinu and Kidmu Seinu. So sometimes it's Mavur, but that's also two inyanim, that the inyan of Ha'ora Atzmiyas is Tzalmeinu. The inyan of Kidmu Seinu, that's a inyan of Demus Bilvad, but that's the Ha'ora in the Etzem Misavas of the Yesh. However, we saw that the inyan of Rosh Hashanah, inyan was Lahamshi B'chinas Mahus Va'atzmus So'er. In other words, to be Mamshi Davke Ha'ora Atzmiyas, in the highest madriga, that it would be the Mahus and the Etzem of the Erein Say, V'gam B'chinas Ha'atzmus Shalamayla M'chinas Ha'eva Gilui, and even more than that, even more than a Ha'ora Atzmiyas Mimenu, but Mamish Atzmusa is better, that he's the more oil, the mochir of all the oires, being as he is, Mamish Atzmus Ein Say. So we saw that Davke from that Madrege is the emes Kavona in all the inyanim of Rosh Hashanah, to be Mamshich and Megala Lamata, the Atzmus, which is completely Lamaila Me'or V'Gilui. And we saw that was the Musag brought in Sifra HaKabbalah and Mavur and Chassidus in a lot of places, Binyan HaMalchus. So we build up the union of Malchus. In other words, we are mamshir, what you might call the pnimius, the atzmiyas of Malchus. And that's the whole tachlis of the Aveda of Rosh Hashanah. And now he began a whole view of that, and that's where we were holding. And we saw that the Adua, the Shoyrash HaMalchus, Hula Maila Mikor HaSfirat. HaKamesh Kosa B'Eit Chayim, the Shoyrash HaMalchus, Hum Yireisha De Lo Yisya Yado. Literally from the head, which is not known, or which is not to be known. Or it's brought down in the Kisvei Arizal, and also it's Merubas in the Zohar Kodesh, that Lamaila Mi HaSfirat, the Indian of Kes Keser, there are Kiru, three what are called Roshi HaRoshim, they're called in the Orim Mekubalim, the heads of the heads. In other words, at the head of Atzilus, as you might call it, is Pnimis HaChochma, the highest Madrega. In Atzilus is Chochma, and that's a inyan from Rosh, as a Gabi Atzilus. But then there's Roshei HaRoshim, heads of heads, those three Madregas which are called Roshi Roshim, and they are one higher than the other. But one of them is the inyan of Arich, or how Arich is a shurish to the spheres. Then there's Pnimius Arich, but that's the inyan from Chochma Stimor. That's the Rosh, as it were, of Arich, that's called Chochma Stimor. And then the third one is Reisha Delo Yisya Da. The third one is the head, but it's a head which is not revealed and, as it were, not known. So how do we know about it? That's a good question. We only know about it because we've been revealed that there is such a madrega of a Sokoso. The Tachlis is to be Megala even that level and even higher than that, the truth is. So Reisha Delo Yisya. Now it's put down in Chassidus that expression Loi Isyada, it's not known, includes in itself two nuances or inyonim. And that is that Loi Isyada, it's not known to the Mekablim or to the spheres of Arich and eventually of Atzilus. In other words, all the spheres shall amatimim. I know Loi Isyada, it's not to be known. And then there's another pirush in the word Lo Isyada, that it doesn't know of itself either. In other words, it's such a high madrega and so kol and mechuber to the atzmas that it doesn't even really know itself either. It doesn't feel itself to be an entity. In other words, it's so batil that it's not aware of itself. In other words, that all the madregas that we can talk about to a certain extent, they have a certain knowledge of their own self. Like the Rambam said when they get to the Malachim, the Rambam says that they know that they're there. They got some sense, there's some inyan of them being aware of their own state. I suppose that's the right of all entities to know that they're actually there in some ways, to be aware of their own being. So it's put down in the Kuteter and other places that the beer, the Reisha Delo Yisya, is that it's not even known to its self. It doesn't even really know that it's there. And that's the Pshat Lo Yisyada, Lo Yisyada Glabi de Mekabim, Lo Yisyada Afilu Legabi Atzmai. In other words, it's so high and so batil that it doesn't really know that it's there. It doesn't have any entity of its own. Klal is completely and utterly batil in Elikus. In other words, that's what we call the Bechina Tachtoina Sheba Ma'atzil. It's really the lower point of the Eibishter himself. It's not any point separate from him. It's really Kilu, that's him himself. And that's why it doesn't know itself, because it's really just Kolol and Batel completely in him. And that's the inyan of the Reisha Delo Yisyada. And I remember said that the Shoresh Apnimi and the Shoresh Atzma of Malchus is really in this Madrega of Reisha Delo Yisyada. The Tes Spheres, the other Tes Spheres in Elam Atzilus, in other words, from Chochma down to Yesod, and including, of course, they are Shoresh Mipchinas Arich. They're all from the level of they're from the first Rosh, as it were. They're from the Madregas Rosh Stam, the first Rosh. And maybe to a certain extent, Chochma of Atzilus is from the second Rosh, which is Chochma Stimor. But that's also Chochma, how it's got a certain shaykhus to Arich. Avo Shoresh Malchus, whom B'chinas Reisha Delo Yisyada, B'chinas Pnimius HaKeser, u'b'Shoresh HaRishayin hu Mushreshes B'chinas Pnimis V'Atzmas Ein Tzei. And he said in the Shoresh HaRishayin, because Keser and these Roshim are after all somehow or another related to the inyan of how Elikus relates to Seder HaIshtalshus HaEzeshu HaScholev and the Sina Smokim to the inyan of Gilu HaElemet, Gilu HaIshtalshus. Aber Sherish Arishan in Atzmus means how it is in the Eberste in Beatzmuse, or how the Ur is Miskale Mamish Betech Atzmuse, in such a way that it's not really a Mokia yet or anything. Is in there we say it's Mamish Betech Pnimius vi Atzmius of the Eberste. That's the Sherish of Spirits HaMalchus, which means that Spirits HaMalchus is different than all the other spheres, and whenever it's Mizgale, it's really drawing on a very high koya, which is incomparably higher than the other spheres, which means that they only relate somewhat to Malchus, but they don't really in any way give rise to Malchus, because Malchus got a completely sure gavoya of a kilo mudal bifnei Achmei. וזה עניין המלך הקודש שאומרים בראש השנה, דהיינו שהמלכס אלה בבחינת קדושת העצמס, דהיינו זה, כמו שהוא קודש הוא מודע מצד עצמי. In other words, on Rosh Hashanah, everything goes back, everything returns to its Sherish Amiti and its Sherish Arishin, so everything goes back to HaMelech HaKodesh, and that's why in the Aseret Shemei Tshuva we have to say HaMelech HaKodesh, not Hakel HaKodesh, but HaMelech HaKodesh. Well, that's indicatory of the Sherish of Malchus Tavke, because the word Kel is indicative of Spheres HaChesed, or Beklal Spheres HaChesed is mashpia to the other spirits. The Elul HaMelech HaKodesh is indicative of the Inyan HaMalchus Tavke, how it lies to move forward in Shulchan Aruch. But why do we say HaMelech HaKodesh? Because Bo'esan HaYomim we are stressing him, we're kilo osuk in the Sherish of the Eibishter's kingship Tavke, the Inyan from Malchus, more than it is b'meshach kol Hashana. If you don't mind not playing with that b'shas, we're on. Israel Melech, lefi sekuntais, that we need to understand. The intelligent reader would be Messiah. Up to now, we've been saying that the whole inyan of Malchus Achoponim, even Agilui, is Ha'ora Bilvad, and its whole way of being Mahava the Yesh, Mahava the Elamus is Ha'ora Bilvad. Here all of a sudden you come along and you say, oh yeah, the Sherish of Malchus is higher than all the other spirits, and the Sherish of Malchus is in Reishat Le'esyada, in Pnimis V'Atzmius, Ein Seif, in Mamish, in the Atzmus, als Lamayla, Afilu Mimoke Ha'er, V'Moke Ha'Gilui. I think that's like two opposite ends of the stick. I mean, on the one hand, you're saying that it's even for men, Nitvi Ha'ora Deha, and on the other hand, you're saying that the Sherish of Malchus is higher in comparable with all the other spirits, even Reisha the Loyes, Pnimis HaKesav, Pnimis V'Atzmus, Ein Seif. So I mean, how does that come together? What's it the beer? But all of a sudden we're holding Hara to Hara, and next thing he says, Pnimis, Sherish HaMalchus, Pnimis V'Atzmus, Bereisha the Loyes Yada, and a whole Riches HaBiyur, that's a whole idea from Aveda from Rosh Hashanah to be Mamshech HaKel HaMelech HaKodesh. We have to set that the ancient from Malchus is meant to be Ha'ora Deha, Ha'ora. So I don't know if that bothered anybody particularly, if anybody lost any sleep over being a bit mesupik. Aber auch upon him, it's a Torah HaDerish Biur. So the Indian, as I say, it's brought down and considers Amelech, if we take the Moshel, how it is, the Indian from Amelech over a Medina, Amelech, if you don't mind, I don't like people sitting like that, if you don't mind. Okay? It's when you sit in Ashia, it's we're always a little bit tired. It's been demanding times. It's Slichas, Metalah V'Tinyonim, and other Sachen. He said everybody's a little bit tired of everything has a lavush, like we see even Malchus has a lavush. But the Indian a king, if we take him, how is it that the king becomes elevated being over the Medina in such a way that everything is totally in him, and he becomes like a ein Moishel v'sholet al kol prat u'prat. Yeah, Medina, until we see it, but the Bar Melech Shilton, he just says one word, and that's, yeah, everything becomes bottle and everything, tutzach. And as they say in Yiddish, it's tutzach hopet, according to what the Melech said. And we see that he does everything, even from ha'oram mi'atzmusay bulvat. He just gives out a word and the whole Medina turns upside down. He doesn't have to appear and he's atzmus all over. No, it functions in even from Einachanami. But Gilu, he only gives off a ha'ora di ha'ora from himself. So why is it, Takya, that another being, let's say, Chaim Yaakov, who lives down the street, he'll also put himself up in he'll put a gold ring around his attic at the top of his house, and he'll also call himself a king, and he'll also start to send out messages. Yeah, what's the next thing was happening with them? The king will send around some of his soldiers and had he got to take care of him in a not particularly dignified way if he's not careful. And I feel I'll derech harogil. Yeah, even without a king, somebody else starts making himself a ganze macher, a ganze. So the Indian is, why is it Taki that the Melech is able, that his ha'ora b'uvad just takes over, and even just a luminescence from him has this amazing and powerful effect on the whole people and all the Medina, because b'em Islamita, he is an elevated being, and he's ein arech l'gabe kol shari ha'anashim b'Medina. And that's the amiti sin, the malchus how it is, al pi Torah and al pi pnimis ha'inyanim. That a melech is ein arech, be'etzem atzmusei, and he's misnasei, he exalts himself, makes himself higher from everybody, not because he's just making a careful, well-planned spiel with everybody, but he is be'emes menusa be'etzem atzmusei, and therefore he's ein arech marumam, and that's why it is that his ha'ora is able to have these unbelievable powers. Therefore, we see that when Shmuel Hanavi was sent to anoint Shaul, well, he was the first king, but albeit his malchus didn't last, and he wasn't meant to be the mocker of the kings that would eventually be the emissary leaders of the Jewish people. But he was the first king. So it's written that Shmuel came and he saw a person that he was mishich moy ulamayla gavoya mikol ha. I state in Pasik that Shaul was from his shoulder blade, and upwards he was taller than, he was like bigger, you noticed him, he stuck out, than everybody in the whole area and in the whole Medina. So Shmuel saw that and he said, Hine, this is the Bechir Hashem, this is the man I've been looking for, Shmuel Hanavi. He realized that this was the mensch, and then later Shmuel Hanavi had nevuah that he had to anoint Davke Shaul. So Chassidus says must be that doesn't mean the shechem. When you say somebody's shoulder blade, well, that's like the chitzonius of the lave. In other words, that's like chitzonius, the back aspect of the midas, which means that even in the chitzonius and the chitzonius, shibba chitzonius, even of his midas, not of his moichet and not of his l'maylam, of even the chitzonius, shibba chitzonius, of his midas, he was gavoya mikol he was elevated and completely shalei ba'erech, which means that in his koiches ha'nailim yoter, and in his koiches ha'atzmi, is just completely and utterly eina reich, like I call ha'am. And therefore, that's why it is that as a mensch becomes a melech, he becomes a melech, mitzad mitius inyona, he is be'emes a melech, he's be'emes a gahoy ben amen. Be'etzem atzmusa. We'll find that when you get to Rebbeim also the same thing, that an emissary Rebbe is the Bechina van Malchit, but there's one on the Sippo, I don't know if one on, but auch upon him, there is a Sippo. We have to hope that the Eves will tell him that there will be a bit of chayas and a bit of brain in these in Yonim, that the Rebbe Rashab had a brother. He had an older brother, the Rebbe Nishma Siyadin. He had a brother, the Razor. You've heard of him, the Rebbe Salman Aron. He was the older brother, the Razor. So the fee, the seder, the hierarchy of the family, that he should have been the Rebbe. So after these talks, the Rebbe Maharaj, he and the Rebbe Rashab, you say Maimorim, in turns. Sometimes the Razor said a Maimon, sometimes, and even the Maimorim from the Razor are available. You can actually get them if you try hard enough. You can get them. Is on Afu Pikain, at a certain point, he said clearly to the Chassidim and to the Rebbe Rashab, he said, you should know that I'm not going to be, I'm not makabel on myself, Clark. I'm not going to be the Rebbe. And so they realized that the only one that's going to be the Rebbe was the Rebbe Rashab. And that also took a few extra years till the Rebbe Rashab actually was makabel on himself. So in one of the years, Samech Zion, it wasn't Tofrei Samech Zion, already a long time afterwards, the Razor was in Lubavitch when the Rebbe came out and sat with the yeshiva. That's a famous time, 3 years in a row, Samech Zion, Samech Tes, when the Rebbe Rashab came out and he ate the Sudas Moshiach, what later on became called the Sudas Moshiach, with the Bochrim in Tom Chai Tmimim. And he said each time, Amayim Chassidus, so I think it was in Samech Zion, the Rebbe said this Maimon on Achron Shalpez, the Razor was there. The Razor also sat there. And after the Rebbe Rashab already left, the Razor was walking back and forth the whole time. He was going back and forth. And he was fatifted in the Maimon that his father had said. He was turning it over. So all of a sudden some Chassidim, walked up to him and they wanted to ask him, maybe he could tell him some of his, his Gilum and the Maimon, and they could discuss it with him. Something. So he turned to them and he said, is geboren geworden a Rebbe, gewachsen a Rebbe, is a Rebbe. That's what he said. He said he was born a Rebbe, he grew up a Rebbe, and he is a Rebbe. That's what he said about his problem. In other words, the Emes Rebbe is something different. He's completely different. You can't say, well, yes, I'm the next in line, I'm the heir, I'm the heir of the throne, I'm the Rebbe. It's a law like that. And it was the same with the Rebbe Melech HaMashiach. It's one of the Rashag was older. He was the older Eidim and everything, and there was some very choshev people felt that he should be the Rebbe. And in the end, the Rebbe became the Rebbe. Well, the Rebbe is the Rebbe. The Rebbe is the Rebbe, and the Rashab was a very choshev person, but he wasn't the Rebbe. He was a very great man, but he wasn't the Rebbe. And the same thing with a melech. You can't just become a melech. A melech is be'etzem atzmusei, a mensch, but he's meant to be a melech because he is ein aroich legabi everybody else. Be'emes, he's menusa, and that's why his word can go down all through, and he just says a word and it goes out, and some and the whole everybody turns up, and, as they say in Yiddish, alles stehen auf dem Kopf. Everybody turns upside down because. Yeah, the Melech gave out a oram yad from Ruth because be'etzem he's ein aroich and ein aroich and ein aroich hecha for alle men. And the same, that's what the Razor meant. He geboren geworden, gewachsen und is be'etzem atzmus. He's the Rebbe. Amen. Das ist die Inyan what we see here when I get to Malchus Lamaila. Kaviyachol. That in order that power of the Eibishter to give forth, and the Alter Rebbe says in Igeres HaKodesh that power of the Eibishter to produce Yesh Mi Ayin, to produce a Yesh Kaviyochel, what appears to be, as it were, Chutz Mimeno, and it becomes the Dover HaNivdal. But that's the Indian of Malchus Lamayla. That's the difference. Down here, the king just relates to his subjects in a way of Ein Aroi, but the subjects he didn't create them. They're there, but he's Ein Aroi Chechaf. But in Lamayla, the Eibishter not only Ein Aroi Mudal, but he actually creates, he actually makes the etzem Indian of the Yesh. That his nasus of the Eibishter, like the Eilamas, is also just like the king doesn't mitzad the immediate how do you call it, nasus atzmiyas of the Eibishter, and then is able to go down through him from the Aora, which will eventually not only just conduct the whole world, but even make them and bring them about In other words, that the concept of his Amitius Asherish, of his Atzmus, is just incomparably beyond all of our Inyanim, and all we can do is draw our moshel from the meaning of our Melech and the way we said. Well, that's what the Rebbe means. In other words, that there's like two, almost as you might say, contrary Inyanim are functioning here in the Inyan of the Melech. The Mitzad Echad is the Inyan from Isnasus Amitius Ad Mamish HaEtzem, and the Etzem Kamuvan is moved over Tachlis Avdola. Dafki, because of that, it's possible for Ha'ora to go down, and in that Ha'ora Gufa should be revealed all the pomp of the Amitius Atzmus, even though it's only a Ha'ora, the Ha'ora Meh, and it has the ability to bring about Yesh Mi'ayin, as Kolah, or Ilames, or Mamela, Lan Higo, or he's something to conduct him with the ganze pomp of Malchus. And so the big Chiddush is, the unbelievable Chiddush here is, that that's what the Rebbe is teaching us here on this whole mind. That's the whole basis, this whole ganze piece here, that Mitzad Echad, there's two Inyanim in the creation. The Mitzad Echad, Kof Hei Ba'el. It's unbelievable. That Rebbe Eliezer was Megala to the world, that Kof Hei Ba'el, the Eibush brought about the world, that's the actual, his Shabbos, but then Ha'ora, Kof Hei. That's the Koi, the Ha'ora, that's how I asked this all to Shalom, when Eifu said, that in Ha'ora, there should be this unbelievable Koyak, nonetheless to be Mahava, Yesh Mi'ayin, and also to bring about the Anhoga of Kola Elam was cool. Oh, he said, that's because Mitzad Hasheni, the whole Indian from that Malchus is moved over Tatis Abdullah, and it's Bereisha the Lois, Yada Bis, Pnimis Viatzim, Saint Safe, and the two of them are like two extremities in the whole concept of Malchus, and they feed one to the other, and they're marshalling one the other. So you might say, good, well, all we ever get is the Indian from Koi. So the Rebbe said, no, that's only the beginning. But the ultimate purpose is that there should be a mensch, and the ultimate purpose is that the man's mentioned there should be hidden, and the ultimate purpose is that hidden should be mamshit. The pnimis v'atzmiyas, the race of the lois yada, bizatz they say they should be mamshit that lamata begolui, and that should be there begilu in the etzem world, not just the ha'ora, not just the koi. No, in the etzem world we should see gilu atzmas and mamish. In other words, that the Eibush that doesn't want that it should remain a dichotomy. He doesn't want there should always be these two extremities. But the ultimate rotzen is that it should all become one Indian, and that should be dafki through the Avedas Adam, and that should be misgala al yedei the koyach Adam dafki. And that should be dafki the shleimus of the whole bria. And the far Adam Harishan, he's the shleimus, and we wait the whole Indian for Rosh Hashanah can't be shaykh until the autumn came along, because the whole Indian from ad koi up to here, it's just a Indian from koi. It's not the amiti, it's a kavana. It's not the amiti, it's a Indian. Im Amerikunta is lefise, also ich steht da, kacha katupo. Hier steht kol oid, also nicht da gile atzmas. When's going to be gile atzmas? Mashiach comes. Good for you, my son. When's going to be the Gilat? When Mashiach had come. The whole world is waiting every Rosh Hashanah as a Lepezayin. So we have to say that it don't work and nothing happens. But it doesn't occur. If it doesn't happen, Kolei, that Mashiach is not here, that whole Indian is only there, Kilo in our even from Eishu Helem or Eishu Koyach, aber nicht Mamish Bepoyach. That's a pelle. The whole Indian for Rosh Hashanah is Kilui Pnimis HaMalchus, B'toichi Tzoynes HaMalchus, and that's the Indian for Melech HaMashiach. And if I'm Melech HaMashiach, Mashiach has to be and is he's a Melech. And the far is Meruma. Yeah, Mikola Shari B'nei Odom, the Gong Tzarichas. Yeah, we saw in some of the Shurim Klolim, we pointed out a couple of weeks ago, that he'll be the inner from the Hirichoi, Be'yiras Abaye, that he'll be Shelet, I'll call B'nei Odom, Alitei, the inner from Reya, for Oid in Yonim, Oid Zomayla Mizeh. Ad Shiyotze is bringing them. What's all these amazing things now with computers and Mars and Geschäft, and people press buttons and they can talk to people on the other side of the world and schmoozing away. People, they talk with these, internet phones, or even they just look at the internet and they talk to one all over the world, and they go, you do it. What do you do it? What's gehört geworden? What do you need all that for? But you can't live comfortably like that. I mean, I don't even have a telephone. I live comfortably. I'd like to improve certain inyonim in my life. Aber auch upon him like that. Who's darf das alles haben? Das will man. Wo ist es in der Kuhle besehen? Elamai, man darf es haben, because when Moshe is going to come, he's going to say one word and it's going to just run around all over the. Yeah, they're going to bleed and people are going to. How's he going to reach all these people? He's going to make some sort of a huge meeting of the guns of mankind on the equator and the Sahara Desert. Where's he going to meet all these people? Let us see that the Avish is preparing the way. And the Avish the Macht, das wird das mit Zies, there's Mami's Ria. You can cook in the famous Meshuggah screen, and you can have that time, and you can see all these things. I mean, to see it, Mami's Berea. And that's why the Avish is making all these things, because the Moshiach is going to talk in a split second to thousands of people. And the state in the Rambam that Avraham Avinu in the Hilchos Taina. You see, the Rambam says, Avraham Avinu diber im Masoros alofei anoshim. He spoke with tens of thousands of people, Avraham Avinu. So Avraham Avinu, he worked hard to do that. He took here rumgegangen, he built tents all over the place, and he called people in, and he had it covered, he mamish let him have it, and he gave it to him, and he went all around the place. Holof and Osea, Avraham Avinu, he traveled all around the place. Yeah, but he reached tens of thousands of people. This shows you what you can achieve even without computers. It was only a certain area of the globe. It wasn't the ganze globe, with the ganze Rediners, with the Aborigines, with the weiß mit was. Man tun wir über die ganze Welt. Nicht gewähnt jemand, Samin Koya. Aber Moshe is going to take all these guys. Moshe is going to take on the guns. I feel the Schwarzes, but they want to be presidents, but guys, Moshe won't know how to deal with it. He'll say, listen here. Who's the real president around here, mate? Never, Rahman in Islam. He thinks he's the president. That's what the Yidden sagen him. Never. Anyway, whatever. It shouldn't be. But those are the Nakuda that we need all these inyonim, because that's going to be the pnimius hamach. It's going to be lamata. It's a perfect gesagt. Imamel said the Rebbe validei aveda de Rosh Hashanah mamshichim bechinas hamalchus mim koiro horishayin. You bring it from its very first shayret. Hainu, how do you call it? Mireisha de Lois Yodav Odla Mailame. The tkiyas, the union of the tkiyas on Rosh Hashanah is to reach even Lamailame Mireisha de Lois Yodav. Hainu, how is that? How can that possibly be? Day Kabbalah Sel Malchus Shemaim de Rosh Shana Shumi Prinas Pnimius Holev Mion Nefesh Akamesh Kosov Locho Omar Libi Bakshu Fonai. That Locho, what Rashi touches, that means that the Eibishter is talking to the person, or rather the person is talking to the Eibishter, and he's saying B'shlichuscha. Yeah, that my heart, L'cho, means in your shlichus, my heart is saying to me, Bakshu Fonai. Now you can touch that also in two ways. Either Bakshu Fonai is the touch that the Eibishter said through his shliach, and made the shliach, which is your heart, say to you, look for my pnimis, meaning the pnimis of the Eibishter. Oh, but how are you going to do that? How are you going to find the pnimis of the Eibishter? That you Bakshu Fonai is that you use your pnimis to look for your own pnimis. Yeah, Bakshu Fonai. Yeah, pnimis are aleiv davke. Amam, yeah. Alidei says ponecha vaya ava keish. Yeah, the neshama answers back to the Eibishter, and he says, I will ask for your Panecha, I will ask for your pnimius. Yeah. In other words, the answer is that the Yid says, yeah, Einoch Hanami, I'm going to be Mavakesh, your pnimius, meaning that I'm going to be poil, that pnimius ain't safe, should be nimshach lamata. It's a beautiful tide. It's brought in Sforim, put down in Sifrei Al-Paiskim, and also in certain Sforim. I think it's even mentioned in the words of the Rebbeim that the whole reason we say that the whole capital Kov Zion, all during Elul and Tishrei, is only be'ikah for that pasuk. L'chol malivi bakshu fanes fanecha vaya vakesh. That's the ikah kavona. That pasuk is killed the ikah. Why we say the whole capital? They state. Amami el nimtzeh lefiseh that ukamayma imru l'fanai malchias, that you should say in front of me malchias kadesh tamlichuneya aleichem, in order to bring me down as your melech upon you. Yeah, imru l'fanai davka. Yeah, l'fanai meaning my pnimius. Lahamshi b'chinas malchus mibchinas pnimius be'atmas ein say liyesh meya b'chinas gilui ein say mamish bibchinas malchus. In other words, that the shoyrosh of malchus, which is the gilui of the ein safe mamish, well, that should be meya into malchus. V'ali they say yeh gilui malchus lamata. Remember, there'll be the gilui of the pnimis malchus also lamata b'teich ha'olam. So I thought the shaila, what is this in? It just looks rather sort of quickly stated, but you know, what's the pitch line? The Rebbe says that alidei kabbalah soyo, and particularly b'chinas pnimis aleiv, all through that it's all going to happen. You know, the kabbalah soyo malchus shemayim. In other words, it's an unbelievable task. You've got to bring down the shurish pnimi ve'atmi of malchus to be meya into malchus chitzenis and malchus lamata. How do you do that? How do you get up to Atzma say? So in the shlichus from the Abish, my heart says to me, Bakshu, I look for your pnimiyah, and ain't noch anami. You know, what is that? How does that achieve the whole Indian of being mamshich, reisha, that is the other word, lamayla misa? So the answer is in those words, what the Rebbe says, that the Indian is Kabbalah sel malchus shor, mayim de Rosh Hashanah, shu mipchinas pnimis alev. So what's the meaning from Kabbalah's oil, Malchus Shamayim? What does it touch? If you touch out in the simple sense, excuse me, what is the meaning of Kabbalah's oil? What does it mean in Kabbalah's oil, Malchus Shamayim? And like we pointed out, I don't remember when it was, in the Shir Klal, I think it was, that every day there's like a whole Avodah which is Bedimion to Rosh Hashanah in Kriyas Shema. Because Kriyas Shema is Kabbalah Sel, Malchus Shamayim, as it's Mavur in the Mishnah, in Masechta Brachos. And it's Mavur in the Hemshech Rosh Hashanah, Toshin Tes, from the Friedrich Rebbe, read Mango there, that every day there's a kilo bechina from Kabbalah Sel. What is the meaning from Kabbalah Sel? What are the type? So we see that one of the inyonim, which is neged etzem mahus ha'odom, is the idea of taking on himself how do you call it, all, meaning a yoke, and taking on himself the idea of a commitment, and particularly taking on himself the idea of a commitment which is an emerson commitment, and taking on himself a commitment which mamish reach into his, what the Polish is called the pupik, right into the pnimis of the intestines, into the kishkis, to use another popular expression in Yiddish. In other words, that VSA does, that a man can take on himself a van a all, dat is een eeuwig de terror van een mens. It's eeuwig for the terror, and by certain behemoths that they manage to do it, or even by say it's a big, of adequate, a sure, to a certain extent they seem to know that that's ultimately the purpose. Of a man should take himself and give himself away, because take on himself an unbelievable commitment. Das is heper teva ha'odam. The heper teva ha'enosh legam. Absolute heper that a man should be makabel oil ultimately. The when he sleeps or when he wakes up, the atmosphere of the Avish is before him, and he says, "Oh, Kaval, I can't be what I really am. I'm a man. I have to be something completely and utterly devoted to Atzmos."
Isn't it the same like bittul, being bittul?
Yeah. But Kabbalah says a little bit more than being bittul. You see, in bittul there are also matrikas. But in Chanam, but Klaus, it's the concept of bittul. It's a little bit more than that. It's like giving yourself away entirely to an existing pressing power on you, which just not going to allow you to do your own thing, as you might say. And that's Kabbalah's. That's the meaning from Kabbalah cell. So it's brought down and said that there are two Kabbalah cells also. There's a Kabbalah cell of the whole year, and then there's a Kabbalah cell how it is on Rosh Hashanah. And the Kabbalah cell on Rosh Hashanah is Pnimius Piachmius in Kabbalah cell Kufa, which means that the man just completely and utterly gives himself away. He throws himself away completely to the Eibush. He just decides that he has no Matthias or Indian La'atzmi Klal Uklal. Now that is Heipach HaTeva Sheba Heipach HaTeva. And that's a Heipach. Therefore, somebody once said to me, what's with you guys? It's your new year, be happy. So, the Friedrich Rebbe says, we are happy. The Simcha of Kabbalah Samelech is a tremendous Simcha. Oh, it's a Simcha that comes that the subjects give themselves absolutely away to the king. He said, other people sit around and make, beer parties, $1 billion on Rosh Hashanah, on their new year, and you guys have to tell you they completely not live that time. And that's the difference from Ayid Bazar. That Ayid knows that the whole Indian, the Rosh Hashanah, the cup of the whole year is Kabbalah Sel Malchus Shamayim. What you should do is, Heipach HaMatzias, Heipach Teva HaOdam Be'etzem Atzmoseh. Well, the Teva from the man says, that's the Teva Atzmi from the man. Like the Gemara says, an Avda B'Hafkeira Nichalei. Him as a slave, he would like to just take it easy and have his way. What's he going to do? That Heipach HaTeva, that giving yourself away altogether, that's the secret and the pnimia of Rosh Hashanah. Well, this is Mamshi, the Kaviyachal, the Eibush also gives himself away. The Eibush also is Megala, the whole pnimius in what you don't see. All you see is the Ha'ora, all you see is the Yesh and the Vel, and Halavai that you would see even the Ha'ora Da'ora, Halavai that you would have Eizish Gilui, Lasoga in the Ha'ora Deha. Ora kommt again the Eibush when he sees that you give yourself away with your Kabbalah self Pnimius Be'atzmius on Rosh Hashanah, then he gives Kaviocho, his Kabbalah self, the Eibush Kaviocho, gives away there the whole inner of his Atzmius, and he gives it down Lamate. That's the secret of those few words. Alidei the Kabbalah self of Rosh Hashanah Pnimius Halei. Oh, that's how we mamshik the whole union of that Reisha, the Loyes Yadav, and the whole Pnimis V'atzim, say that should be Begilul, Mata, and then it brings down the union from, we want Moshiach now. That brings down the Gilul, Al Inyonim, how they really meant to be, Lamata Mata, Bezeh Ha'olam Kipshutahim. So he says that that's the Inyan from Yeh, Gilui HaMalchus Lamata, V'hu Inyan Gilui P'nimis Pnimius HaMalucha. Well, that's the Gilui of the Pnimius of Malchus. What the Pnimius of Malchus is, like we said, the Pnimius Be'atzmas Ein Tzeit. Shelo Yeh P'nimis Helam V'Hester. There shouldn't be any more Shenim Shach Rak B'chidus HaOra Levad Kanal. In other words, that the world should live begorry from what it's really coming from. Because that the Ha'ora really shares, as we pointed out, is in the Etzem of the Melech. And that's going to be begorry Lamata. That's what the Eibush wanted. Not just you should have the Ha'ora, but in place of the Ha'ora should be the Shoyrosh of everything mamish the Atzma. And that's the unbelievable Pele, and that's the Kol Yochel, the whole Inyan. That normally if the Ha'ora were to be B'mokim Agila of Atzmas, it would be just automatic, it would be Nichlal in in the Atzma, the whole Bria wouldn't exist. Mitzad Seder of the Ha'aradara. That's the kilo, the Lamaila Me'ateva of the whole Inyan of Rosh Hashanah, that there should be Nimshet, the Atzmas Lamata, and nonetheless the Yesh will still continue to be. We said that if the Atzmas were to be going in the Yesh, then there wouldn't be any Yesh. The whole Inyan of Rosh Hashanah is no, that it should stay a Yesh, and Afupid be the kilo of the Atzmas and the Shorosh Amalchus in the Yesh, and he'll remain a Yesh. And that's the Inif and the Gila Deliyosid, that the Koyach HaAtzmus is going to be Tafke in the Yesh HaGashmi. Amamil, it's an unbelievable terror. He said, Ki'im, Gila Pnimis HaMalchus, V'oisa Onu Mevakshim B'Tfilah is the Rosh Hashanah. The Rebbe said, that's what we're asking for on the Tfilahs of Rosh Hashanah. We're asking only for the Gila, the Pnimis V'Atzmus HaMalchus Lamata. He said, you should rule over the world in your Koved. Koved, Stam Koved, Hubkinas Koved Malchus. Koved, Stam, means the Koved of Malchus. Yeah, and the Koved of Malchus, Koved is only a Ha'ora. So the Koved of Malchus is the Seder of the Giluyim, Ha'ora, and then Ha'ora, the Ha'ora, and then he said, that's covered. He said, aber your covered, who begins on Malchus, Kamoisha, who biat Musa. Oh, that's the Gila of Malchus, that's Mamish Beteich Atzmas. And that's what we say, Maloich al Kolohelim Kule Bich Vaydecho. In other words, we want the meaning for Mela to be Mamish Begolui, Kamoisha, who mitzadamitius Atzmas. And it's an almost impossible thing to ask. Yet nonetheless, that's what we do. But Prati is the Rebbe Yesh Gimel Bechina. Now we get into 3 levels. We'll have to deal with these in the coming year. But just very briefly, but Prati is Yesh Gimel Madregas. There's what's called Lavush Geus, Ukfeid Malchus, Veima Misa Malchus. 3 inyonim. Literally the garment of Geus, of elevated pride. Literally Geus is like the idea of splendor and pride. Kveid Malchus, the Koved of Malchus, and Reima Misa Malchus, the ultimate exaltation and elevation of the Inyan of Malchus. In other words, the whole Inyan of Malchus is Malchus, Keser. But in that Gufa, there are different Bechinas. The main Bechinas Keser, Chokma, Bina, Sheba Keser. In other words, even in Keser we have his colorless of Madregas, Afilu B'Teicha Keser. In other words, you have Keser Sheba Keser, we have Chokma Sheba Keser, and we have Bina Sheba Keser. Keser, Chokma, Bina Sheba Keser. The Lavush Geus, Ubchina Shem Sag, Sheba Bina, Sheba Keser. The Inyan of Geus, the Inyan of pride, or how do you call it, pomp, Ubchina Shem Sag, K'moish Koser B'Mokimacha. Kveid Malchus Ubchina Shem Ab, the Chokma Sheba Keser, V'Reima Misa Malchus Ubchina Keser Sheba Keser. That's the Inyan of Keser, how it is in Keser. Okay, Inyan Roma Karni B'Havai. That's a pasuk in the Shira of Chanukah that we say in the Haftorah of the first day of Rosh Hashanah. But right at the end she says Ashira Chana. And it's written over there, Roma Karni Bechinas Keren Chulu. So we'll deal with that a Milchem in the coming year. Well, those Inyan, what's the Inyan from Shem Sag, and what's the Inyan from Shem Ab, and what's the Inyan of Keren. But the Rebbe said that Inyan from Reimam and Samalch is the Inyan from Keren. A Keren means literally a corner, like where two sides meet together at a point. It's called a Keren. We say the Keren Zovi is like a corner with 2 walls of proto. That's called the Keren Zovi. Or it can also mean wherever 2 points meet together, that point is called the Keren. So come to Lafisa. That the Rebbe said, Lafisa come to that Kveidecha is Inyan from Shem Ab, but that's Inyan from Chokma Sheba Keser. Karni, we're going to see, is the Inyan of how do you call it, Pnimis V'Atmius HaKeser Sheba Keser. And we'll see about that as we go along further in coming and developing classes of shiurim. Now the reason that we're making these a little bit shorter because we're going to talk about it now at 9:15. We're going to let everybody get back early, and we want people, please, if you can make an effort and get to sleep early and don't try around. Everybody get to sleep, so we'd like to have a meeting for slichas at 7 o'clock in the morning. Okay, a meeting for slichas, so you can say slichas, then you better learn a bit of chizah, whatever time is left till 8:30, you'll be able to learn a bit of chizah. So, and then davening and so on and so forth. Okay, everybody got the picture? Yeah. So we're going to daven now at 9:15. Okay, give you time to get back a bit earlier, get off to sleep earlier. All right?